Hello and welcome to another video review with me, Jamie Balfour04, and if you hear a whistling sound, it's probably the wind because it's very strong winds here. Now today I'm going to be reviewing the Asus EPC 1015CX. Now this is a netbook by Asus and it's not my first Asus product. I've reviewed many things such as a monitor and the Asus Nexus 7 tablet. And I've also actually had many other Asus products, but probably haven't reviewed them. But nonetheless, the point is that I've probably got quite a lot of Asus products now, and I'm starting to like them. They build good quality machines and good quality systems, so they're good. And Asus actually, in 2009 I think it was, were the most reliable PC manufacturer, so that's good news. Okay, anyway, let's take a look at the 1015CX. So, on the box it says Inspiring Innovation, Persistent Perfection, and it's the EPC with 3 E's. So it's another one of these wee netbooks, as I said, continuing on the EPC, which were a fantastic range, but of course netbooks have died down. And E stands for Easy, Excellent and Exciting. So that's the box there. As I was saying, netbooks have died down, so you probably won't find many other netbooks other than this, but this is quite a unique netbook as well. I previously had an Acer Aspire 1 A150X, which was a tiny wee netbook, a lovely wee netbook, and I recently just sold it, so I realised that was actually a bad move, because netbooks are great for just typing stuff on and, you know, doing general stuff. So I bring it into university with me and things, and it's the perfect wee companion to have. So let's take an actual look at the netbook. So the netbook itself has a 10-inch display. It's running with an Intel Atom N2600, which is a dual-core Intel Atom, also with hyperthreading, which essentially makes it a quad-core. Okay, it has 1 gig of RAM as standard, or 2 gigs of RAM. Apparently, from what I've read, it's not expandable, but yet I've still not yet been inside it. It's one of the only netbooks to feature HDMI. Not many netbooks featured HDMI, but the Asus ones did. Quite a few Asus ones. The 1010 does as well. So there's the HDMI port, a USB port which you probably can't see very well, a VGA port, tiny wee DC in, which is probably not a good idea because it's likely to break. And on the other side we have a card reader, audio jacks, which is a microphone headphone combo jack, 2 USBs, Kensington lock, and a really smartly designed Ethernet connector which you have to pull down a wee flap to completely use. The netbook is a very decent little netbook, but I don't think it could run Windows 7 perfectly. And from my own experiences, I don't think it does. But nonetheless, it gets a good performance ratio on it. It's just that a lot of the RAM is used up with 1 gig of RAM. If we can upgrade it, then we will upgrade it to 2 gigabytes. Otherwise, it's not going to be a worthy Windows 7 PC. So yeah, as I was mentioning earlier, they're very difficult to come by, so I would grab on while you can, because, you know, they are good for what they are, netbooks, and they are just low power PCs. It comes by default with Windows 7 Starter, which gives you an idea as to how basic the machine is. Okay, and a wee bit more about the specs. It also comes with a 320GB or 500GB hard drive, as well as some cloud storage that you get free. And graphics, well, it's not quite a particularly good graphics card, but it doesn't struggle running Windows 7 Home Premium with Aero on, which is quite surprising. And obviously it has no optical drive, but it has 3 USB ports, which is sufficient, because the 1010 only has 2 USB ports, and that's I would say the model down from this. But I have tried installing Linux with no success. You know, it's not been particularly easy, because every time I try to install it, it comes up and says there's an error, or it takes too long and it just freezes. So If you've had any success with installing Linux on it, please do tell me. But as I say, this is one of the last netbooks you'll see. It was actually manufactured in March 2012. That's how old this is, and I'm reviewing this in February 2013. Let's take a little look inside then. Now, I can tell you it's not the easiest of netbooks to open because you have to have two hands normally. Yeah, I'm going to need that other hand. So there we go, that's the netbook open. So as you can see, it actually has a bottom button trackpad rather than having them at the sides like the Acer Aspire A150. And it says go anywhere in style, resume in seconds, new generation dual core CPU, HDMI enjoy full HD, 1080p movie playback, and 11 hours long battery life. Now that's not completely true. It's 5 hours on the standard battery. You can upgrade to one that will have 11 hours, so that's not totally true. But anyway, around the bezel there is a webcam right here. It says EPC here. The power button's over here, and right and left clicks are here. It's also an island style keyboard, which I will show you. There we go. Let's see if we can see that. So yeah, keys are not directly next to each other. There's separations. It's quite difficult to see in the camera because the blacks are quite similar, but the keyboard merges pretty much with it. But it is a really nice design. I'm very fond of the island style keyboard as well. So, my conclusion. Well, I'm very fond of the design. One of the things I didn't like about my Acer Aspire A150 was when you opened the screen there was a huge gap between the screen and the body. It just didn't seem nice. Whereas this feels like a proper laptop. Although a lot bigger, this is a 10-inch screen as opposed to being an 8.9-inch screen, which my Acer Aspire A150 was. So I needed a slightly bigger screen altogether, but it's still the same resolution. For its price, nowadays, I don't think I could say it's worth £200. I would say it's probably worth £150 maximum, but as netbooks have become less and less popular, they've become harder and harder to find. To me, I think they're an incredibly good device. I wouldn't care what I had to pay, but this was a thing I really needed because my back was killing me from carrying my MacBook Pro around with me, and also my Fujitsu Lifebook, which was also quite heavy as well, and it became too heavy, you know, with all my paperwork and everything I had to carry around as well. It just got worse and worse, so the netbook was perfect, and now it weighs less than, I think it weighs less than 1.5 kilograms. It's incredibly light. I can hold it with one hand, no problem. So it's great. And also this netbook is particularly good because the model down only has 2 USB ports. This one has 3, but both of them have HDMI, which is also another thing that's very rare in netbooks these days, or just netbooks, sorry, is to have HDMI. So it's a nice addition to have HDMI in this. And of course it runs on Windows 7, which is good because, you know, although it's Windows 7 Starter, it's easy to upgrade to Home Premium, Professional or Ultimate. That's always an option. I'm going to give the netbook 7 out of 10 because it's a high price point, especially for a netbook and especially in this day and age. But I find that the design, being shiny, glossy black, piano black, and the actual physical design of the netbook is really good. Performance is mediocre. It still takes a while to start up. But I do tend to think that if you can upgrade the RAM, or if you can purchase one with 2 gigs of RAM, then that would be the better option. But if the RAM is soldered to my motherboard, then unfortunately I'll just have to put up with that performance or go back to Windows XP.